inside our Los Angeles studio. We are just under 2 hours away from the 2026 NBA trade deadline, and we have the best in the business to cross that finish line. Alongside Kendrick Perkins, for the first time in our studios on this day, we have Kenny the Jet Smith, Michael Malone, apparently dressed like he's going to somebody's funeral, and Brian Wimers.
He might be going to a black tie.
Yeah,
black tie.
never
Spend the night here.
Well, there's some big questions that's going to be answered today, and Michael Malone has a big suit to do it. I'm Malika Anders, and we will be with you for the next 4 hours. But Kendrick Perkins, what was the biggest question heading into today's deadline?
Giannis.
Yep, Giannis. The biggest question was what is going to happen with Giannis Antetokounmpo. And Brian, this is what Giannis posted on social media, on Instagram. He said, quote, "No pencil, but I'm still drawing all the attention." You read the tea leaves better than anybody.
He likes a little bit of attention, and I got bad news for him. He's going to have attention for a lot more months.
Well, you know Shams Charania has and will continue to keep us informed every single step of the way. So, Shams, with less than 2 hours until the deadline, my friend, what is the latest on the Bucks and Giannis's plans?
Malika, sources tell me the Milwaukee Bucks have started to indicate to teams that they are keeping Giannis Antetokounmpo through the trade deadline, through the remainder of the season. And my understanding is Giannis has communicated to the Bucks for months now that he believes the time is now for these sides to part ways, and that essentially led and forced the Bucks to at least listen to calls, listen to aggressive trade pursuits, and exchange concepts with teams. These sides engaged, but they never progressed to even close on a deal over the last few days, and now they're pushing this to the second half of the season, to the offseason. The Bucks have the rest of the season now with Giannis, but teams involved believe that the Bucks might truly feel that they can potentially build a contender around Giannis this summer and get him back on board to being there this summer. And so that is the one thing to keep an eye on here. The Bucks genuinely believe that they can try to build a contender around Giannis in the offseason once again. So now, in October 1, that's an interesting period to monitor. He's extension eligible.
All right, Shams, thank you very much. It is only February, and yet somehow it feels like the summer of Giannis is already beginning. We'll continue to check in with you as this show continues over the next couple of hours. He's staying put, Kenny.
Well, I'm laughing because the Bucks feel that they can potentially build. So does every other team that called. That's why everybody's calling about him. He's one of the top 5 players in basketball. If you put the right pieces around him, he's already proven that he can win a championship, and he's also already proven that he would be all in. Yes, he can win a championship, but today is like a stressful. I don't remember in our era, Coach. It's games used to be played. I wouldn't like that, Coach. This would be the same day, you know, we would be on a layup line. And I remember my first time ever being in trade
Conversations?
I wore a watch.
Okay.
On the layup line.
And you kept checking?
Checking to see the time, and I was like, if I get traded, if they pull me off this layup line, and when 8:01 hit,
you're like,
I took the watch off and I went into the layup.
Well, so Giannis is going to be keeping that watch on, and I guess the question becomes, what's next here, Brian?
You can't get what you don't ask for.
You can't always get.
So if Giannis wanted to 100% be traded by today, and he wanted to be traded to a certain spot, he should have just said exactly that. I want to be traded to Miami, New York, Golden State.
You think they would have traded him to the same conference?
I think if he had come out and said, this is where I want to go and it's the only place I will extend, he would have gotten it done. He soft-played it, and now the Bucks have taken command. And the reason that the Bucks have taken command is, tactically, the correct decision is to wait until summer. In summer, teams can offer more picks. You have a better opportunity of knowing where other teams' picks are going to be. And you also have the opportunity to improve your pick. Because let me tell you what's going to happen now. Giannis has this calf injury. It's his second calf injury of the season. It's his 4th in the last 2 years. The Bucks, if they want to do what Shams just said, which is build a contender around him, they got to get the highest draft pick possible.
Meaning?
Don't get the highest draft pick possible.
Tank.
now they do have 2 hours left. They have a paucity of assets that they could try to do something with. But if they do not make a deal to improve their team, their way to improve their team is through the draft, and the way to do that is to tank, and that means not playing Giannis most of the rest of the season.
Well, Wendy, Giannis didn't soft play this.
He sure did.
He didn't soft play this because
he sure did.
We all know Giannis didn't want to go to Miami. He didn't want to go to Minnesota. He damn sure didn't want to go to Golden State. Giannis Antetokounmpo wants to be in New York.
Really? I haven't heard him say that.
Giannis Antetokounmpo, didn't you report that he said that in August? It was too late?
That was a long time ago.
Okay, he wants to be in New York. That's why he's not loud about it. By the way, shout out to Leon Rose because he just won Executive of the Year with this decision right here. You know why? Because now, all of a sudden, you have this New York Knicks team who I believe has the deepest team in the Eastern Conference with a shot to really go to the NBA Finals. And guess what? If you fall short, you could make a move and go get Giannis Antetokounmpo because he wants to be there. That's the biggest thing.
But part of the thing is over the summer, right? Shams reported that the Milwaukee Bucks and the Knicks essentially had what Shams termed an exclusive negotiating window.
That wasn't a little whispering. You know what I mean?
It was an exclusive negotiating window, right? That was the reporting.
Yes, and the Knicks were not aggressive at all right now.
But can they be more aggressive this summer?
Everybody can be more aggressive. Everybody will be in a better position this summer, maybe with the exception of the Warriors.
Okay.
The Warriors essentially will have the same things to offer, which is why they were so aggressive in offering 4 unprotected picks for him now.
I want to go back to something you just touched on. So Giannis is staying put. They want to get the best position possible in the upcoming draft, which is loaded. So how does Doc Rivers and John Horst tell Giannis, listen, we want you to take your time, get healthy, and when you do come back, we all know Giannis is a competitor. He wants to play. We don't want you to play. That is a really slippery slope.
Would you tell him that?
That's a hard conversation. He's wired in a certain way, Malik, where he's a competitor. He wants to play. He wants to compete. And if he's in Milwaukee, he wants
NBA
to
teams do that? I didn't know they tanked.
You know they did.
That's such a surprise.
If it indeed is their position to look, if they want to just mess around and finish 12th or 9th or something, then they can bring him back. They could make a trade for another player here in the next hour and a half that maybe got them an extra win or two. But that's not actually, that's not going to keep you Giannis. The only way you're getting Giannis is if you're getting a top 4 pick.
Well,
you can trade that pick or say, I'm going to draft somebody.
Well, 2 things. I hope the league watched the Bucks closely because if Giannis is healthy and the millions
he's
of
not healthy.
Hold on. When he is, he said 4 to 6 weeks. So eventually, he said.
Dr. Giannis.
He said 4
You know what? They didn't say anything.
Okay,
they
I know.
Said no timeline.
I know that. But what I'm saying is, if Giannis says he wants to come back and play, then don't do a disservice to the million of NBA fans out there that want to watch Giannis. That's number one. Number 2, the last time I heard of a situation like this where they told a guy to shut it down and you're not playing because they was quote-unquote tanking was KG in Minnesota. And we saw how that ended.
Perk, it's happening all over the league right now. Forget about KG. It's happening 3 or 4 places in the league right now.
I understand that, but not with these caliber players. Why I brought up this situation?
Perk, there's all-stars sitting out right now.
No, they're not Giannis.
And the last point I would say is that, again, you're talking about a talent that is generational.
Yeah.
So if you pair him with particularly 95% of the league, you're a contender. If you pair him with the right person, 95% of the superstars, not superstars, it's not 95% superstars, but if 90% of all-stars, if you pair this guy with, your team is going to be a contender.
Yeah.
So that is why the Milwaukee Bucks are on pause. That's why even Giannis is on pause.
Yeah.
Because he knows who he is as well.
It feels like this is exactly that, though, Kenny, an extended pause. This does not feel like the end of a sentence. This feels like an ellipses. It's going to carry on way into the summer. And that seems like if it's a question that's going to go on into the summer, something that we need to check in with Bobby Marks on. So, Mr. Marks, I see you over there. The trade machine is fired up because this is not the end of when we're going to be talking about Giannis.
Well, we're not. And I think there's a couple of teams I want to point out here. I think certainly New York right now. New York right now, they do not have a first-round pick to trade, but starting in June, they can trade 2026, their own, and a pick in 2033. So they go from 0 to 2 now. We always say the playoffs always dictate what happens in the offseason. Regarding Milwaukee, 2031, 2033, and 2036 as far as what they were able to do in a deal here. Starting in the offseason, I think the second team, everybody's talking about the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat right now have 2 first-round picks starting in the offseason. That increases to 4. So that expands as far as some of these deals here. The one thing you have to worry about is a player like Terry Rozier no longer cannot be traded here. So the picks expand once we get into the offseason.
All right, so this is something that is going to continue into the offseason, and certainly it's something we are going to keep an eye on. But as the clock continues to tick down here, there's so many moves that we've already seen made. We know the future Hall of Famer has captured the league's attention. It's going to happen for the next couple of months. But how about the Cleveland Cavaliers?
How about them?
They made the biggest splash so far. They acquired a top 10 all-time scorer in James Harden. Coach Donovan Mitchell said this gives Cleveland a higher ceiling. Do you agree?
I do agree. Last year, 64 wins, disappointing playoffs. They go out, get big game James Harden to come in. Tag team with Donovan Mitchell, one of the best backcourts in the NBA. Donovan trying to get out of the second round for the first time in his career. And I really like this pickup because James Harden, as Kenny alluded to last night, playing with Evan Mobley, playing with Jarrett Allen, is going to make everyone around him better. And end of games, we all know that big game James can do his thing and score and get you a timely bucket.
Well, in exchange, the Clippers, they got back two-time All-Star Darius Garland. Mr. Windhorst, what does this move signify for Los Angeles?
Well, this was the oldest team in NBA history at the start of the season. And so if they were not going to make a serious run this year, and they obviously came to the conclusion they were likely not, they had to get younger. So they go 10 years younger for their franchise point guard. He's under contract for 2 more seasons. Obviously, he's got to be healthy, but when he has been healthy, he's been a multi-time All-Star. You just can't get guys like that without giving up draft capital. They got a second-round pick in this deal.
They sure did. Another future Hall of Famer was moved on Wednesday. Anthony Davis off to the Wizards to join Trae Young. What a sentence to say there. Kenny, this was a move for the future, but could this Trae-AD combo be something you believe in?
Well, it makes people in Washington want to go to a basketball game because there's interest. 2 guys who have had a great deal of success in Trae Young and Anthony Davis. Now, the one thing that we all will answer, will we see him in a uniform or will we see him in a suit? If I see more of his apparel that he buys on the street than I see him in an actual Wizard uniform, then that's not a great trade.
And it could be a question that we could be looking at.
I know too many of his outfits. That's all I'm
Kenny,
saying.
you realize, like, you shouldn't play again this season.
That brings us to the Warriors, friends. The long-lasting Jonathan Kuminga trade saga. Finally, it's behind us. Kristaps Porzingis is headed to the Bay. Perk, can KP be the difference maker for the Dubs to get out of the play-in picture?
I didn't even know he still played basketball.
Oh, my
Real
goodness.
talk. Y'all gonna
Guys.
call Kawhi Leonard's street clothes, then I'm gonna call Kristaps Porzingis pajamas. And I'm pretty damn sure that Steph Curry and Draymond Green is not over there doing cartwheels and somersaults right now.
Well, there are plenty of questions still left in the Bay and in the state of California because coming up, the Lakers, they made a move this morning that could be a difference maker come playoff time. But are they done making deals ahead of the deadline? Our experts weigh in. And is John Morant's time over in Memphis? We have the latest on the 2-time All-Star and where he could potentially
Let's talk about it, Wendy.
be headed. We're under 2 hours away, Perk, from the deadline. We have you covered right here.
They wanted to do for a bit.
Thank you, Tim. Last night, the Warriors, they made a move. Finally, Jonathan Kuminga, that saga's over. He's headed to the Hawks. Kristaps Porzingis is in. So, Mr. Slater, what was Golden State's thinking behind this deal? Mic check 1 2 1 2. We'll get back to Mr. Slater in just a moment here because we will need to hear more
And
about
we're watching
Golden State.
Draymond and not.
But finally, the Timberwolves, they acquired Ayo Dosunmu. This is a 4-player trade with the Chicago Bulls. Howdy, Tim. What's happening in Minnesota's approach to the trade season?
Howdy, Malika. I wish you'd have used the mute button on Bontemps, by the way. But looking at the Timberwolves, hey, the Timberwolves for the second straight trade deadline tried to land a haymaker to get a star to pair with Anthony Edwards. It was Kevin Durant last year, Giannis Antetokounmpo this year. They settled for a little jab. And the Wolves are trying to make these blockbuster trades without any ammo. They don't have draft capital. That is in part because of a swing and miss that Tim Connolly took to get Rob Dillingham when they jumped in the lottery, gave up a pick and a swap. That went bust. Dillingham's now heading to Chicago, and the search for a co-star for Ant continues.
McMahon, thank you. All right, the Lakers, they made a move today. They acquired Luke Kennard from the Atlanta Hawks for Gabe Vincent and a 2032 second-rounder. Kennard, he currently leads the NBA in three-point field goal percentage. He averages almost 50% on 149 attempts. And the Los Angeles Lakers, they need that shooting because they rank in the bottom 10 in both made threes per game and three-point shooting percentage, something that Kennard, I think, can help with. But, Mr. Windhorst, it seems like you may have a couple of folks here who know something about what's happening next with the Lakers.
Yeah, I've got some Lakers experts over here, including a former Laker, Danny Green. He won a bunch of championships. What'd you win, 7, 12?
A couple. Right place, right time.
And we have senior writers Ramona Shelburne and Dave McMenamin here. Okay, so the Lakers today traded for Luke Kennard, swapping out Gabe Vincent for him. Luke Kennard's a 50% three-point shooter. This is something that the Lakers needed. Danny, even though it's a move on the edge, how do you think this will help them?
I like it. And I've been traded for Luke Kennard actually in the past, and I understood. You know, like I was a good shooter.
You have more rings or more trades?
He's a great shooter, shooting 44 for a career and like 50% this year. Yeah. When Memphis traded for him, I was like, okay, I understand. He's a really good shooter. This to me is they can fix all the problems in one scenario. We'd like to get a 2-for-1, but I'm just looking at them. They're saying we're going to outscore teams. Basically, they have unbelievable high-powered offense. This kid is going to get a lot of shots. He's not a high-volume shooter, but he's going to get so many open looks because he only takes the smart ones. He's going to get a lot of smart ones. So this is a great move for them. This is an upgrade. He's more available. Gabe Vincent was a good shooter, but he's a great shooter and more available than Gabe.
Look, you were a 3 and D player. He's a 3, not as much D player. And I think that's going to be, Dave, you cover this team every night. Like, they have players who are great on offense, but a liability on defense. Great on defense, but a liability offensively. So this doesn't solve that problem, that mix and match problem, but it does give them a laser, as they've needed for a long time. And so I think it's a good move for them. Gabe Vincent, actually, he was acquired to be a tough perimeter guard. The defensive metrics this year, Luke Kennard actually has better defensive metrics.
Gabe had so many injuries.
Yeah, and I mean, Luke Kennard's playing on a team with some great defensive players, so he's going to probably look better metrically, but this is gonna, Jay's gonna have to mix and match this one. But it's almost like J.J. Redick traded for J.J. Redick when he was a player.
well,
guys.
And he also has the LeBron connection. He outscored LeBron in Ohio high school scoring record.
That's
he passed LeBron's record. Listen, it's a good move, and the Lakers didn't have a lot to work with unless they were willing to give up that 2031 or 2032 first-round pick. Thus far, they've been able to upgrade offensively. They're maintaining that cap space that they have this summer, close to $60 million projected, that can allow them to be players in a lot of things, because you also keep that first-round pick. They'll have to have up to 3 first-round picks to trade this summer.
Yeah, so the thing to me is the Lakers have $100 million in cap space they can have. The real question was, would they eat into that cap space for somebody now? The answer is no. So where do you think their upside is this season now, Dave, looking at this roster?
I mean, they've been a team where they've looked like they could beat anybody on any night, and they've also been a team where they look like they could lose to anybody on any night. One thing that's been strong, a consistent strength, is their clutch time performances. If you get into a late game situation, you have LeBron and Austin and Luka as the decision makers, you kind of like your chances, and you get another guy maybe who can spread the floor for you a little bit in Luka.
Kennard could be drawn up for some of those plays. All right, Malika, we'll see if anything else happens with the Lakers, but that might have been it.
Well, we'll certainly keep an eye on Los Angeles. And look at this, our beautiful studios. Back over here we come. Kenny, you were making some hand signals as we were seeing.
I'm just super disappointed.
Why?
Because Danny Green, a Tar Heel, said that Luke Kennard, Duke, can shoot better than him. What is going on in the world? If I come to ESPN,
the world
is changing.
It's the that's a can of worms there. But yeah,
there's no admittance ever that those guys in Durham can do anything better than us in Chapel Hill.
I'm glad that you were standing on your principles here, Kenny. But you know who else was standing on some principles coming into the season, even in the last couple of weeks? We'd heard from Rich Paul again and again that his thoughts were that this Los Angeles Lakers roster wasn't enough. And we know that the Lakers have plenty of questions to answer here. Do you think this move went anywhere towards putting a drop in that bucket?
Well, I don't know if shooting was lacking, but I don't know if that's the reason why they're losing. I think the defensive perimeter defense is a big part.
Sure.
That they cannot keep people out of the paint. Mm-hmm. So guys are shooting threes, but they're also having rim runs. So I don't think they've addressed the defensive athleticism on the perimeter.
And this might be it, Bobby, for the Lakers?
Well, I've used the phrase, the 2-timeline team, so much that I should get T-shirts printed out or just get it patented here. This is what we've been talking about since LeBron opted into his contract. They preserve cap flexibility, but for who? It's an older free agent class. They've got 3 first-round picks starting in the offseason, 26, 31, and 33. How are they going to build the roster around Luka and Austin Reeves will be the question going into the offseason.
Well, you know, it's interesting, Bobby, is that the big 3 in L.A. has only played together 9 games this season. So they're getting Austin Reeves back. You can consider him a trade deadline acquisition, getting him healthy. Kenny's point, they have the worst rim protection in the NBA. They have a hard time guarding on the perimeter. Adding Luke Kennard gives more shooting for Luka and LeBron, but doesn't answer the biggest defensive efficiencies that team has.
everything come out of Rich Paul's mouth is not the gospel, but I actually agree with him on this one.
All right, coming up here on NBA Today on our trade deadline special, Perk, let Ja Morant be on the move. Well, he started the season slowly. He dealt with some injuries, some instability with his role, but he started to turn it around over the last couple of months. And even with that, the landscape in Memphis, it has changed. They've pivoted in direction. They traded Jaren Jackson Jr. and seem to be shifting a little bit younger, maybe even towards a rebuild. So let's welcome in our reporter who covers the Memphis Grizzlies. Howdy, Tim McMahon. What can we expect here from Ja Morant as the deadline approaches rapidly?
Malika, the party's over in Memphis. They've got to find Ja a ride out of there. I would say home, but they've got to find him a new home or he's going to stick around. And look, they were able to get a bundle of picks for Desmond Bane. Same thing with Jaren Jackson Jr. That is not there for Ja Morant. In fact, he might have negative value in the trade market because of the risk, because he has 2 max years left on his contract. I was told by one of the teams that's been frequently linked to Morant in speculation, they would have to be incentivized to consider taking Ja on. In other words, Memphis would have to send picks, attach picks with Ja to move him on. Now, 90 minutes left. We'll see what happens, but it has been a rough market for Ja, and there's no signs that's changing.
All right, 90 minutes left. We'll see if that changes. Tim McMahon, thank you so very much for that insight as we welcome Shanae Ogumake into the desk here for our trade deadline special.
Hey, girl.
My golf clubs. Yeah, Kenny's always bringing the golf clubs here. Brian, I mean, what's the value for Ja Morant around the league right now?
Well, something that McMahon just said there, my gosh, the idea that a team wouldn't just want Ja, but would actually want a draft pick in addition to Ja. And I think that's because the $87 million that he is owed after this season over the next 2 years, I think this is an incredible buy low opportunity in terms of what you'd have to trade for him. But the problem is it no longer becomes a low price when you owe him the $87 million. And so you look at a team like the Bucks. The Bucks are a team that has been desperate to find people to put next to Giannis. And if they think about trying to trade for Ja, it's like, okay, but if Giannis still wants to leave, now you're stuck with that $87 million and you're starting to rebuild. So if his contract was just a year shorter,
as opposed to a couple of years he has left,
he would have gotten traded weeks ago.
Okay.
But if he's going to get traded at some point, whether it's in the next hour or whether it's this summer, and he's going to have an opportunity. Somebody's going to get a great opportunity. I don't know if he's going to take advantage of it, but there's going to be an opportunity for somebody with Ja.
But it seems like that's the disconnect, right? It seems like the value of Ja Morant at his peak, there's immense value there, and yet around the league, people aren't jumping.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. This situation really makes me sick because there are a lot of people that are fans of Ja Morant. He is box office. Everyone knows his talent is through the roof, his athleticism, but there are questions about his sustainability on the court. He's only played 37% of the last 3 seasons, which is not great, and also the fit. Because when you're someone that athletic, right, you have to show that you can expand your game. And I do believe that the system that the Grizzlies had, the change that they had, did not benefit his game at all. Knocking down outside shots, absolutely need a 3 as a guard in the NBA. And these are areas of growth for him. But nonetheless, you can't keep him in front. You can't keep him downhill from getting downhill. Those are his strengths. So I do think it's a tough situation overall. And you hate to see it because this is a guy that people want to see in prime time.
Go ahead.
Well, I mean, if we can honestly speak, Ja Morant trade value and everything that's happened after his off-court incidents. So after the suspension, now you're not working out with the team. Now you're prone to injuries. All of that comes from the stem of what happened off the court. And that is also the reason why, with his talent, people are apprehensive to say, well, we should make this move with him having max dollars. His talent is undeniable. LeBron James wasn't the greatest three-point shooter. He got downhill and he's able to dunk on people and Ja Morant is the mini version of that. It does not matter. People are worried if they also trade for him, his sustainability off the court as well as on the court. So now he has two-edged sword that people are worried about, Perk. It's not just one edge. It's both edges of the sword that they're worried about.
I usually joke when I say this little saying, 1 foot in the grave, the other on the banana peel, but I'm dead serious when I say this. That's the situation when it comes down to Ja. He has 1 foot on the grave, the other on the banana peel when it comes down to his career. Ja Morant better wake the hell up because in 2 years after this contract, he could find himself out the league. It is disturbing to hear that a guy that won We're talking about former Rookie of the Year, All-NBA player, All-Stars, a guy that was on the verge of being the face of the league, and a team can't trade you. They can't trade you. Nobody wants you. And they're telling teams that, hey, if we get you, y'all gotta put something in there. Y'all gotta send Ja in the first round. It should be the other way around. And if this not a wake-up call for Ja, I don't know what else is gonna open his eyes, right? Because you think that your value is high. You think, hey, if Memphis, you're not the place, I'm Ja Morant. Nah, that's not the case no more. And that's when you look at the bigger picture. Forget the fact that they can't trade him. That's one side of it. But we're talking about a guy that's a supermax player that's on the verge of no team wanting him and possibly could be out the league in the next 2 years.
So he missed 37% of his games in the last 3 seasons, Shanae.
Yeah, and I love that you're going there because in my heart and my soul, I feel like this is a make or break moment for him no matter what happens because we know what's happening with the Memphis Grizzlies. They're in a rebuild, and wherever he ends up, when that destination is set, that's the opportunity that he has to seize. And you mentioned it. His talent is absolutely undeniable. No one can stop this right here in the NBA. He averaged the 2nd most drives per game of the last 5 seasons. Ja, look at him getting to his bag downhill. This is what he's great at, just exploding. It does not matter if the help defender is there. You see the nice little up and down to finish that shot. But this is what separates him. You mentioned LeBron James, the comp. Well, if he was a guard, it's this guy because we say blocked by James, blocked by Ja. On both ends of the floor, Ja Morant is an absolute game changer. And when things settle down, I do believe that he's had a lot of time to think when he was out there so far. You know, there were high moments, there were low moments, but that is a talent that is capable of transforming a franchise. But that opportunity does not come 1, 2, 3 times in the association. The next one is the most important.
Yeah, I have a saying, like, from a distance, yelling can seem like passion or it can seem like anger. And so what he's doing, the perception of how he's doing is anger, and it gives the wrong perception. He has to also change the way he has his demeanor because then he could lead teams because he has the talent to lead, but to be also a leader and all of those things, your perception has to change when you walk into the building because, yes, the Memphis Grizzlies, at some point, this is going to end. When he goes to his next stop, he has an opportunity to possibly make a team a championship contender because of his talent.
Right.
But now does he have the leadership skills, the ability to bring others, to help others, to bring – those are the things that in questions that the great players we never question. We're not questioning those things about Giannis.
Yeah.
Can he lead? Has he no, we never.
Ethic, yeah.
But talent-wise, you were like Ja at one time. You were like Giannis, all of these guys are the same.
But think about it. It took for Luka to get traded for him to actually wake up. No, I'm saying for him to wake up even more for a level of accountability of just addressing his weight and him being in shape.
Yeah.
Right? It took for him to open his eyes. You know what I mean?
Cover of Men's Health.
Yeah.
Well, I think it was
out of shape to be on the cover of Men's Health.
But I think of this season when he said, like, when he was asked about whether or not he still has joy in playing basketball, and he said that he didn't think so. And Ja Morant, when he is joyous, is so much fun to watch. And I think all of us as basketball fans hope to see that again soon.
Well, the league ain't gonna just wait on him.
Let's go from being fine in the West to elsewhere in the West, right? The Warriors, they traded Jonathan Kuminga, but Hield also on the move. They're headed to the Atlanta Hawks in exchange for Kristaps Porzingis. This finally ends the Kuminga-era saga that was unfolding for the last couple of months in Golden State. So let's try this again. Welcoming back in our Warriors reporter, Anthony Slater. Slater, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Sorry, Steph pulled the plug. That was the problem.
I figured maybe that was it. Loud and clear. Slater, what can you tell us about how this trade went down yesterday, and then what that means for what could be next in the Bay Area?
Yeah, they struck out on Giannis. That's just the reality. They're behind me right now. The mood is light. I mentioned Steph was actually just here joking, saying he was going to turn on the show. But they went to their small swing, and I think it was a silent admission that, like the championship hopes are not necessarily there. They didn't get Giannis. But Porzingis is a guy they've targeted since the Boston days as a stretch, center that can rim protect next to Draymond Green that they think can help. They think he might be as healthy as early as Saturday. They heard he's basically cleared to play. So they're going to try to kind of go for it to a small degree this year, and then they held their draft ammo for this summer. We'll see if they get back in the Giannis sweepstakes or do something bigger. And then the other part of this is it's finally an admission of the Jonathan Kuminga organizational failure. They didn't develop him. They didn't cultivate the relationship well enough. They weren't able to maximize him, and they basically gave away another lottery pick and didn't get much back.
All right, so it sounds like the Golden State Warriors, they have made their moves for now. Slater, thank you so very much for that insight. As we say hello to our Anscape senior writer, Mark Spears, who covers this team incredibly closely. Should we expect anything else in the next 90 minutes from the Golden State Warriors?
Well, at 9 o'clock hour Pacific, I was asked if the Warriors were done, and I was told no.
Okay.
They're still working on doing some things. Obviously, this is the B selection, the B thing. They tried to get Giannis. They were told no before they decided not to move Giannis.
Okay.
Moving to Porzingis, I asked her if they worried about the POTS, the immune disorder that Porzingis has been going through, and they said no. If he's healthy, I think he fits in great. Perk probably disagree with me, but hey, he's a big-time shooter from outside. He's a rim protector. He spaces the offense. He's kind of the guy that they've been looking for.
It's kind of the guy that they thought Al Horford would be in some ways.
Yeah,
well, Al
more
Horford
athletic.
Al Horford was him with Porzingis. Remember that? They were together. He had a combination of those, Spears.
Yeah.
You know, so I think in terms of, you said Golden State not finished, what else do you think they could do?
Well, I mean, Draymond, you know, I'm not saying they would move Draymond.
In the next 90 minutes.
Hey, I texted with Draymond yesterday. I think he's waiting till the buzzer
See, this
sounds.
is the beauty, Kenny, of the trade deadline is that anything, we mean anything.
One GM came in to us one year and said, some of y'all better have some U-Hauls in front of y'all house today. I was like, oh, somebody's getting traded.
But hey,
that's honesty right there.
When did Joel T-Bay say anything is possible, right? Like when it's not over yet, I think they're still working the phones.
I'm going to invest in U-Haul next year. This is really good.
This means anything can happen.
He's still working.
Shams working.
What?
We should just sell a special access channel to this shot.
I think that the subscriptions to that would be off the chain.
I like that.
James Harden. So, Brian, does Harden make the Cavs a legit title contender?
Well, they feel like it improves their chances this year, even though Harden is 36 years old and they probably maybe shorten their window. They got to get Donovan Mitchell to a contract extension this summer. They got to try to win the Eastern Conference right now. They haven't made it to the conference finals with this group. They think James Harden can get them there.
Oh, this is certainly a win-now move. Those wins that you just heard were actually Chiney Ogwumike. So let's go to DC, Chiney.
Yeah.
The Wizards, they traded for AD. What does this mean for them?
It means that we have to take the Wizards seriously. I love this. This pick-and-roll combination between Trae Young and Anthony Davis is going to be wild because Anthony Davis can pick and pop, but most importantly, he covers Trae Young's liability, which is defensively. You see that swap right there? So, yeah, they're finally out of that sunken place, respectfully. Sunken place, moving on up. Once they hit the floor,
yeah, it just
they got to hit the floor.
It's a win. It's a win.
Next year.
Yeah,
Next year.
may be delayed gratification there.
But not denied.
Delayed but not denied. I love that. In Boston, the Celtics, they traded Anthony Simons for Bulls big man Nikola Vucevic. Perk, how does Big Vooch fit your old squad?
The same way I fit with food. Great. Great when you talk about a stretch big, a guy that's going to fit that Joe Mazzulla system. Also, Vooch been playing with a little edge lately. Like, his defense is going to pick up, obviously playing for something. Jaylen Brown, the best two-way player in the game. Peyton Pritchard, I like, hey, watch out for the Celtics as a sleeper.
And you know what? Let's go to Charlotte. We don't say that very often, but we're saying it more now. They traded for Kobe White. Danny, how will Kobe impact the Hornets' playoff push?
Now, this is a great pickup. I love this. You know, him having LaMelo off the ball some, but Kobe White's one of the fairest deals in the league. Obviously, a Carolina kid, so he's just unbelievable. But he knows how to get buckets. He's back home in Charlotte now. The Charlotte's team has been hooping. You know, he fits right in. The pace, the getting up and down, sharing the ball, playing hard. This is a great dynamic with him and LaMelo.
So
I love it.
Charlotte make the playoffs for the first time since they bolstered their backcourt, swapping Darius Garland for James Harden, also dealing DeAndre Hunter in a three-way deal that brought back Dennis Schroeder, Keon Ellis. So, Janae, Danny, let's check in the film room. How is this team going to fit together?
Welcome to our NBA trade deadline film room. I love it here because we've got the biggest board ever. And I'm not going to lie, James Harden going to Cleveland sort of was not on my bingo card, Danny.
Mine either. At first, I was like, what the hell's going on? But, I mean, now it's starting to make sense. As it's settled in, I like it. It's a good move for them.
It is. Let's check out their new lineup because shock me or stop me if you've ever heard this before. James Harden leads the NBA in total isolations. Now they have another guard in their lineup as we zoom in here on James Harden. I'm really excited about this. Let's start, though, as we dive into the tape, with the pick and roll. because James is a master when it comes to this aspect. You set good screens like John Collins does right here. He is so good that he attracts so many double teams, more than Darius Garland. But what's his signature move?
Step back.
Yeah, that, he
Have
should have
his
patented that. But look at him, one-on-one in isolation.
But 2 step backs.
Exactly, Danny.
A 1-2 step.
But this is what separates him, his ability as a facilitator. Can you walk me through this play and this pass, Danny?
Yeah, I mean, he is the system, and there's a reason why. He can draw 2, draw 3. They have a great setup for him. Pick and roll, so much attention. That behind the back pass, wide open floater for Zoo. He's going to have a lot of food on plates for these big men, Evan Mobley and Jared Allen. They can eat tonight, like when they get there.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of the big men, Evan Mobley, Jared Allen, they are absolutely going to thrive with a guy like him. He plays great with bigs. But I feel like you should not get lost in the sauce when it comes to analyzing the starting lineup, because he is absolutely going to help Donovan Mitchell as well. We know that Donovan Mitchell is having a career year, but now you add in the fact that James Harden demands more double teams than Darius Garland. You're going to see right here, it's going to create easy looks. He did this with Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah, I mean, that Indiana series that comes to mind with Donovan Mitchell, he just ran out of gas. He had to bring the ball up the floor. He was tired, fatigued. James Harden could play point guard, take some off his plate, draw 2, as he always does, because he has that gravitational pull, and get open looks, not only for Donovan Mitchell, but everybody else in company on that team. As you can see, 2, 3 guys, wide open corner. He's one of the best in the business at making this pass. Finding cross-court passes, open shooters, easy wide open knockdown shots for everybody in Cleveland.
Is that called the hockey assist? But us basketball players, we call it swing action. James Harden, we got a Clippers fan. I don't know if he's still in mourning because now he's in Cleveland. But I'm excited to see what James Harden does as a member of the Cavaliers. And I feel like this offense will go all the way up. Questions about the defense, but nonetheless, this is a team that has championship expectations the second half of the season, Malika.
I'm loving this film room edition, Danny and Janae. Thank you very much for that breakdown. Mark, you were in the Cavaliers locker room last night. You had a chance to actually talk to the team about how they're feeling about these moves. What did they say?
Well, respectful to the guy that left that they all love. They're excited. They're really, really excited. Yeah, 6 weeks ago, when the first conversations came about James Harden, Donovan Mitchell was aware of him, and he kind of filed it away. He didn't think anything was going to happen. This is actually somebody that Donovan knows. They worked out with Chris Paul and James Harden early in his career when he was with the Jazz, made Adidas trips with him, but didn't think it was going to happen, and then boom, it did. Donovan told me he talked to James 2 days ago. He's going to talk to him today. This ain't going to be Shaq and Kobe. He's super excited to play with him. They both talked about how they need each other to win. He was impressed how James Harden knew their roster inside and out. They talked about how they were going to work together. And Donovan tells me he's just going to keep squeezing his brain and learn from him. Donovan's having an MVP year, but he said there's so many little things that James does that I could get better at that I'm going to do. I also talked to Jared Allen and Evan Mobley. And Coach, you know this. Kenny, you know this. What did James do with Joel Embiid? He helped him get an MVP. What did he do with Zubac? He gave Zubac the best time of his career. And they were, how did the young kids do? They do that, right? They're ready to eat, man. Jared Allen and Mobley, they're ready for these alley-oops, these easy buckets. They're about to eat. And this team feels like they've launched a place to compete for a championship. Last thing I'll say about Donovan, he said this is the first time in his career that management said, I'm going to get you an A-star to join you. And he's really, really excited to be with James Harden.
And you can definitely start to feel it. James Harden posting on social media. But you said Ivica Zubac. We have breaking news here on the NBA Today trade deadline special. Ivica Zubac is on his way to the Indiana Pacers here. Our Shams Charania has more. Shams, what can you tell us?
Malika, Ivica Zubac is going to the Indiana Pacers. I'm told Ben Mathurin and Isaiah Jackson, as well as significant draft compensation, is going to the Clippers. Still waiting on what that draft compensation is, but clearly the Pacers wanted a center after losing Miles Turner in free agency last offseason. That's what this has been about. They scoured the market searching for centers, whether it was Daniel Gafford, Ivica Zubac, Yves Missy. There was a laundry list of big men that they were looking into and trying to find someone that Tyrese Halliburton was going to be excited about, someone that they could pair with for the next few years once Tyrese Halliburton is back next season from his torn Achilles. But this Tyrese Halliburton, Ivica Zubac pairing is something the Pacers are very excited about. They've landed Ivica Zubac from the Clippers.
They have the Pacers do their center of the future.
I do have details, okay. Malika. it's Ivica Zubac and Kobe Brown for 2 first-round draft picks from the Pacers and 1 second-round pick. The first, one of the first is in 2029. It's unprotected from the Pacers, and then there's another one from this year that does have protection.
All right. Wow. A lot of picks flying around in this deal as well. Shams, thank you very much for that insight. We'll let you get back to work. Brian, this deal is so much bigger than just Ivica Zubac headed to the Pacers.
First off, the Pacers get their replacement for Miles Turner. They've been working on that for a while. Second off, Zubac just went kind of for more than Anthony Davis went for. That's another topic. All right. Here's what I think is important. Number one, the Clippers appear to be in a significant retooling. I'll step away from saying rebuilding, but it sure looks like a rebuild to me when you trade for draft picks like this, Harden and Zubac. And so that begs the question, what about Kawhi Leonard? What about Kawhi Leonard? Okay, he may not be going in the next 36 minutes, but is this a precursor to looking at whether a Kawhi Leonard trade is coming this summer? He's got 1 year left on his contract. Obviously, we've got the aspiration investigation also going along. The second thing that people are blowing up my phone about right now is the cheers and celebrations in Oklahoma City because the Thunder have the Clippers draft pick this year unprotected. And now the Clippers pick has been soaring up. They were headed for the playoffs, in my view. Now they've traded Harden and Zubac here. They're going down. So this is improving Oklahoma City's opportunity to be in the lottery, which they're celebrating.
Okay, wait. There's so many tentacles to this trade here. We have the Oklahoma City Thunder, the defending champs who are cheering and celebrating. We have the fact that Kawhi Leonard, a question that we've been asking, Ramona, is this spelling out the end of Kawhi Leonard and the Los Angeles Clippers?
About 12 hours ago, I was in the Clippers locker room, and I went to Kawhi Leonard, and I said, you know, I remember when they traded for James Harden, and this was like your big move. You had Paul George and James Harden and you, and there was that big three. You guys were going for it. It was just a couple years ago, and now those guys are gone. You're the last one standing. And he goes, yeah, does it feel like the end of an era?
That's
and he's
about
like,
as verbose as
yeah, it does. Those guys are gone. The players are gone. That's it. He's the last one standing. And I remember the other night when James Harden was traded to Cleveland, somebody whispered to me, you know, watch Zubac now, because I don't think the Clippers are necessarily looking to trade Zubac, but there was a lot of good offers on him because he has a very good contract. He doesn't make as much money as some of these other front lines, Anthony Davis, as you mentioned.
Okay.
They could get 2 first-round picks for him. And he's benefited so much from playing next to James Harden. He's probably a declining asset now that Harden is not there.
You know, one thing that teams don't realize, because it's kind of like when you look at your hand, you can only see the markings in yours. You don't pay attention to the rest of the league. So as the Clippers were moving into championship contending, there's other teams that are making moves to do the same thing. And we're just going to figure out to see which ones work. And now we realize the Clippers weren't able to reach their goals at the Milwaukee Bucks when Damian Lillard gets hurt. Now they're reaching that goal. So everyone is moving simultaneously. So there is a continuity of movement that I think the world and the other teams forget. And they think that they're the last all and end all.
Well, and I think it's a great pickup, by the way, for Indiana. Obviously, this has been a really tough year for Rick Carlisle and company after making the NBA Finals, Halliburton recovering from the injury. But if he has a partner and Zoo, that's a great big man and a center that they can build with for years forward.
And a very good 3-year contract, less than $20 million a year. Excellent value. I would not have traded him if I were the Clippers.
Oh, we have the first Brian clap of the show.
They got 2 firsts, Brian. They had no first, like forever. They all go to Oklahoma City. They now have 2 firsts.
Well, let's head back to the West here on our NBA Today trade deadline special. Still to come, are the Warriors and Lakers done making moves? We'll be right back. It's just 30 minutes, people, separate us from the 2026 NBA trade deadline. And our Anthony Slater, who covers the Golden State Warriors, he is reporting that Draymond Green, he will be in a Golden State Warriors uniform 31 minutes from now. He was, Slater says, involved in Giannis conversations that never gained traction. And now, of course, we know that Kristaps Porzingis is a member of the Golden State Warriors. So let's check in here on the state of the Western Conference on 2 Titans that we have come to known as sort of mainstays in the conference. And one of them is Steph Curry here. If you're in Golden State, Coach, you have been, how are you feeling?
Obviously they were going for Giannis. That would have been the big, sexy move to pair him with Steph Curry.
No big sexy.
That's not no big sexy. Not big perk. Not big perk. So that's not going to happen. I'm happy for Draymond. I coach Draymond, a big fan of his, that he's going to be able to stay and hopefully finish his career in Golden State for everything he's done for that franchise and helping them win all those championships. But, the end of this season, Porzingis, it's going to be tough sledding to finish out this year, and I don't see them making a lot of noise come postseason.
Well, it is fortunate for Draymond, but, the greatest players in the world have been traded, especially at the latter part of their careers, and Draymond would be no exception if the team feels that they want to move on. And I think he understood that as well. I think that's why but the difference is everyone's not able to receive information. Some people you can't tell everything. They had to tell Draymond. He is someone who can actually take that information, receive it, come back today, and still be Draymond Green.
And be a pro.
And a lot of guys are not able to do that. And they know who to spoon feed and who actually just give the plate to.
And I think now the question turns to Steph Curry. He's had this injury that he's been contending with, and how long that could continue.
Right. So the thing is, they've crossed the Rubicon with Draymond. They've told him that he will be involved in trade discussions going forward. So, okay, he's going to be at the rest of this season. He's got 1 year left on his contract, and it's a player option. So do they revisit Draymond trade discussions in the offseason? And could they revisit Giannis conversations in the offseason? The second thing, as you said, Steph Curry is out right now with a sore knee. They said it's runner's knee. I don't know what that means, but it sounds like it's something that needs rest. And the question is, if with the Warriors not having really materially improved here, I don't know what Porzingis is going to be able to give them. How much is Steph Curry going to be playing in the short-term future? Does the Warriors have control of their pick? I know people are probably like, why do you keep talking about players shutting down with their pick? The 2026 draft is very, very highly valued, and if you can't improve your team through the trade deadline, you can improve your team through the draft, and that's going to be a consideration for players.
I'm a little disappointed in a few teams in the Western Conference. Minnesota, the Rockets, and the Lakers. Because we talk about how wide open the East is, which with the moves that's been made, I wouldn't necessarily say it's just wide open. I think we know who the top three dogs are. I don't know who the top three dogs are no more in the Western Conference.
You don't think it's OKC Spurs?
Because of injuries, right? SGA now is out. J-Dub with the hamstring, and we know how soft tissue injuries could be. You're looking at the Denver Nuggets right now. Aaron Gordon is out, hamstring injury. Jokic is still banged up. He had another scare last night.
Cam Johnson's still out too.
Right. So when you look at the Rockets and it didn't have to be a powerful move, just a popular move. Like, you could have went out and kind of been somewhat aggressive and went got a Tyus Jones or Kobe White to fulfill that veteran point guard position. If you're at Minnesota, you're looking like they made some nice little moves. I think AO is going to be fine for them from the Bulls. But I was expecting even the Lakers, we talk about their rim protection, how they're one of the worst in the league. DeAndre Ayton has been inconsistent all year long. Like, I expected them to be more aggressive. Especially when you talk about having a LeBron, a Luka, a Austin Reeves. They have one of the best offensive weapons as far as those guys as a trio. I expected, because the West really is wide open right now.
I was looking at Houston, thinking the same thing. You're fourth in the West. Do you have enough shooting around Kevin Durant and Şengün? And biggest question is, they've tried to go point guard by committee, and you can speak on this, Kenny, because you played at a high level. They're going point guard by committee. Can you go point guard by committee into the postseason and have a chance to move forward? They're 27th in the league in assists per game, and they're asking guys to play a position that is something that is hard to do.
Very hard to do. I think, first of all, I think the Rockets have made some really great moves over the last 2 years. That's put them in the position that they're in now. But a Jose Alvarado would be better fit for the Rockets than he actually is for the Knicks. He would have been more valuable, rather. Not better fit, but more valuable. Just someone who played that position. I do remember, even the latter part of my career, when I got traded, and we played the Rockets again, and I come back into the locker room and see Akeem Olajuwon. He says, "I apologize to you." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" I really worked. I said I didn't know what he was talking about. And he says, "I didn't realize how hard it was to simply give me the ball at the right position." I apologize. He took it for granted.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I appreciate that. Tell him to bring me back. I was like, tell him to bring me back.
I think Houston and San Antonio, to a certain extent, are in the same boat, which is that they are looking at this as a 3 or 4 year window, and they don't want to give up assets to rent a player.
But let me ask you this, Wendy. I understand that with the San Antonio Spurs, not with the Rockets. This is not a 3-4 year window with a Kevin Durant, right? Like, he's still playing at elite level, but KD is 38, 39 years old?
I think he's a little younger than that, but yeah.
No, but what I'm saying is you got to maximize. I feel like that window is now, because if you'd asked me this a month and a half, 2 months ago, it would have been OKC and Denver and pretty much everybody else with the Spurs knocking at the door. But now if you're the Lakers and Rockets, you saying, well, damn, we passed the halfway mark and guys are injured. We got a
There
real
was
shot.
like 9 or 10 guards traded in the last 3 days. Half of them went to the Bulls. Yeah. So it wasn't like the market was there.
All the Hornets.
Hey, here's the last question. So Minnesota, back-to-back Western Conference Finals.
Right, high bar.
They got Io. Cool. They went to get Giannis, didn't get him. Do they have enough coming off of that bench to provide a scoring boost? They got Naz Reid, but
it's not the bench, Coach.
You know,
do they have enough to make Ant-Man not get double teamed and he can be Ant-Man?
Because he talked about
it's really that's it, because it's the guys that they're bringing in other than Randall. You know, those guys they're not getting the attention.
Right.
So now
he can do his thing.
Well, he could do his thing.
It sort of feels like we've been looking at the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Spurs have been hanging tough. They're ahead of schedule for the entire season. And that middle of the West through the play-in picture, it feels entirely fluid. Will any team try to bolster their roster with 22 minutes and 10? Still is on the market. Ja Morant, and I feel like we spent so much time talking about why teams maybe don't want to trade him. They forget who we're talking about. We're talking about call 12 here, Brian.
One of the greatest athletes I've ever seen. Absolutely brilliant jumping. Can from anywhere on the court can get to the hoop. Just breathtaking player.
All the way back to college. So these are his top 5 plays. That was 5. This is 4 here, Coach. Soaring. Poor Jakob Poeltl.
I mean, this poor guy, he can get anywhere he wants to on the court, and when he gets there, Kenny, he can elevate and dunk over you and on top of you.
I remember one time T. Morant told me, yeah, my son, he leaves his deodorant marks on the rim. That's how high he can get up. The 360, Cleveland, I mean, bring this to the All-Star game.
Why didn't Jokic block that?
He was trying to win a championship that year. He had other things.
I think they did.
The suspense is on.
I know they do.
At 2, flying.
Talk about snatching the screws out the rim. That's really snatching. Watch it.
Malik Beasley.
Oh, my goodness. That is at Ja Morant's peak. That is who we were talking about, Perk. That is the player that Ja Morant can be.
He can, if he want to be. Ja Morant gets in Ja Morant way. That's it. Look, one thing we can't deny is his talent, but the thing is we're here now in this space of talking what's next for him. And the league is not high on him. Do I believe he still can go out there and shock the world and be the Ja Morant of old? Absolutely. But he's going to have to get his mindset back right. He's going to have to get back into that mental place and learn and continue to grow as being a professional. It's less about what's on the floor and more about what's outside the lines.
You know, they're really interesting when you think about Ja's career. Played for Taylor Jenkins, had a lot of success. They fired Taylor. They promote Tomas, their current head coach. And Ja and the new coach in this new system, they have not just been a fit, you know, and for whatever reason, they're trying to figure that out. But the talent is there. I couldn't agree more with you, Perk. Now it's a matter of Ja looking within and saying, okay, what do I have to do to put myself back in a position to be the player I know I'm capable of being? Because having the game plan for a guy like Ja Morant, that would keep you up at night because he was slippery. He could get to the rim. He could dunk on you. He could make his teammates better. And I think the NBA is about that. Great players showcasing their abilities. And I want to see him get back to doing that.
Yeah, his as we all said, his skill is undeniable. There have not been many people in the NBA that has a skill set athletically from that position that he has. But the one thing about the greatest players that's ever took their teams to championship, because he is still a guy at this stage of his career where he would be your best player, no matter where you bring him most of the time. So now, name me 4 that didn't have leadership skill or couldn't have example skills. So they couldn't just point to their examples and say, this is how I do it, and this is why I'm good. This is how I lead you because this is what you should do. Those are the 2 things that are missing from taking him from being a great all-star to being a great superstar, because superstars lead with leadership and they lead with example. And that takes them and takes their teams to not being playoff contenders, but to be playoff champions.
And you mentioned that maybe a change of scenery could be something that jolts that within Ja Morant, if that's something that's able to happen. Bobby, we still have a couple of minutes here until the NBA trade deadline. What team could make a move here for Ja Morant?
I'm looking over Coach's shoulder. 13 minutes before the deadline, we get the deadline. I think there's 2 teams right now. I think it's Sacramento and the Chicago Bulls. And it's interesting. We thought that Memphis was going to have to receive draft picks. It's likely they're going to have to give away a draft pick to get off the Ja Morant contract. When you're looking at Morant, who's making $39 million, how do you get the money to match? It would certainly have to be a player like DeMar DeRozan, who's got a partial guarantee for next year. And then here's the question, Malika. Does Memphis want to take back Malik Monk, who's got 2 more years after this season here? That's kind of what you're looking at from a framework. I think Chicago, and I know Chicago's been active with getting all these guards here. Can you get a distressed asset, a young player? Listen, they've got an expiring contract in Zach Collins. They've got draft picks. How do you make the money work? But those are the 2 teams I think we should focus on in the next 12 minutes here as far as for Ja Morant here. The stress asset, a one-time all-NBA player. The one thing that I do, the deadline sometimes creates a sense of urgency. Like if you're playing poker, it's okay to walk away from the table and regroup if you're the Memphis Grizzlies and figure it out this summer.
Is that going to happen this summer? What changes in his value?
I actually, well, listen, his value is as low as it probably is right now. I think if you can get him back on the court for the next, 6 weeks here, if he gets back from this injury, I think you kind of build that back up, and then you get into the offseason. As we said, teams lose in the playoffs. There's a certain sense of urgency. Teams look at players a lot differently in July than they do in.
I'm apologizing. I remember the other day I took your board.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
You know what?
I took your board. I'm sorry. The board is back. No, it's yours. I didn't realize it was only yours. I tried.
You see when he starts cooking up over there?
I apologize, brother.
When Bobby starts cooking?
Well, in our first segment, I was in Pasadena. I'm glad to be closer to you all.
Bobby's over there cooking at the big board. Shams is cooking with less than 12 minutes separating us from the NBA trade deadline. We're going to cross that deadline when we